Namaste, Jai Bharat. The concept of rebirth is very common within Bharatiya Sanskrit. It's really not philosophy. In fact, Bharatiya philosophy doesn't speak much in any serious manner about the concept of rebirth. One has to view out if there is any. I will try to do it. But before that, the birth, death, rebirth, death, birth, that is rebirth, death, rebirth. This is often understood as a cycle, and this cycle is understood to be a vicious cycle. It's a very vicious cycle. So the point of moksha in Hindu dharma, the same thing as kaivalya in Jain dharma, similar is nirvana in Bauddha dharma, and of course moksha again in Sikh dharma. They are very similar, very similar. The only different as far as the terminology plus the moksha, which is liberation status, some variations are there. But on a deeper analysis, such variations are not serious. So the point is, there is a concept of a vitiation of birth, death, rebirth, again death, rebirth cycle. Now here rebirth is talked about because the rebirth has to be talked about in order to escape the vitiation of this vicious circle. And escaping this vitiation or vicious circle is moksha, which is liberation. Moksha, kaivalya, everything could be translated as liberation into English. Now, what is the status of moksha? To speak about the status of moksha, one must speak about the status of Atma. It may be not very appropriate to translate soul as Atma, but still for want of word one may say soul. Alright, but I would prefer to use the terms Atma. What is Atma? One simple and outright clear speaking about Atma is that Atma is pure consciousness. The property of Atma is pure consciousness. Now, what is pure consciousness? Anything pure, when you say pure, must be minus all conceivable impurities. Now, what may be the impurities with the soul? One may outrightly speak about attachments, but let me be a little more concentrate. Content. Attachment is a content, desire is a content. They are all contents of Atma, but contentless situation is pure consciousness. And once a pure consciousness, which is the real nature of Atma, is contentless consciousness, then where is your identity of self, person, language, and whatever is your identity, which you normally attribute to your personality, is not there when Atma is liberated. So liberated Atma becomes again pure consciousness and goes back to the ultimately real, which is say in Hindu dharma it is Brahman, the ultimately real. And you don't try to explain Brahman because you cannot explain Brahman. You cannot explain Brahman because when you explain something, you have to explain things in terms of its qualities. You have to explain anything in terms of its qualities. You have to explain the things in terms of its shape, or other properties, or at least function or structure. But Brahman is beyond all those things. It is nirguna, means beyond. It doesn't have qualities in the sense it's beyond having qualities. It doesn't have rupa, shape or akara, because it is beyond having akara, so it's nirakara. Nishprapanja, not this, neti, neti. This is how Shankaracharya would explain or try to speak about Brahman. So, how can you talk about something which doesn't have any properties? Because every time you speak about anything, has to be either structurally or functionally, I am using modern terms, structurally or functionally, or in terms of its attributes or qualities, which is not the case with the concept of Brahman. So, gone. You just can't speak about it because you have no tools to speak about it. That's it. You don't have a tool to speak about it, or you don't have categories of concepts to speak about it, or even comprehend it. You can't comprehend. If you cannot comprehend, you just better be silent. Quoting Wittgenstein, whereupon one cannot speak, thereupon one must be silent. Interesting. So, what is the question of rebirth? It can be very easily scientifically explained, but I will do that slightly later. Normally, people, those who want to, or those who believe in rebirth, who would like to understand they will be reborn along with their personal identity. There are exceptions. I am unable to explain that. There are exceptions when there are claims from different quarters, or from people those who are supposed to have been reborn, and they have recollections of their past life. There are few cases, or some cases. How genuine they are, I don't know, but there are cases, there are narratives. If that narratives are anywhere near truth, then I would call it as exceptions or abnormal behavior of nature or something like that, which is very, very, very rare. Which is very, very, very rare. Normally, you're once liberated, there is no question of rebirth. Even unliberated, when you're reborn, what is that is getting reborn? Is that Atma? It is getting reborn because it has not become pure consciousness, because it still retains some contents. But in all cases, almost all cases, when it is transferred into another body through a process of our conceivable rebirth, then the content is hardly visible. It hardly comes out. But some exceptions it may come out. That's what people say. I have no personal experience. They say you may dream about strange things, you may dream about places which you have not seen, you may suddenly like people, suddenly dislike people, you suddenly may have a feeling that I know this person, or all kinds of things. These are some narratives, but how seriously one can take it, I really don't know. But these things are very scientifically explained and easily explained in terms of loss of energy and loss of matter. If you believe that the total quantity, this of course is, whether you believe it or not, you have to believe it because it's a scientific law, the law of physics. The total quantum of energy in the cosmos is constant. Similarly, the total quantum of matter in the cosmos is also constant. They keep changing forms. But no form is permanent. Every form is temporary, and every form has to end. If it has begun in some point in time, it has to end. And after ending, it will take another form. But that thing which moves from one form to another form, moving from one form to another form, should be taking some time, in the sense, some unimaginable smaller fraction of time it may take, or should be taking, or even if it doesn't take, there is something without shape, without form. From this form it is going to another form, means it's going formless. That is akin to or that really is the concept of the ultimate reality, similar to the concept of ultimate reality, Brahman, as they say in the Upanishads. So that moment, from one form to another form, that only Upanishads also say, Brahman doesn't have any shape, but it gets into forms, either through a Maya or through a manifestation. That variations are there with Shankara Vedanta and Ramanuja Vedanta. There are many types of Vedantas. They will see it, but in the core it is all same. No Vedanti had ever violated the two lines drawn by Badarayana. That is a different area of discussion. Let it be for the time being. I am not going into that. So, rebirth can be in any form. That is what people say. I have no direct experience. Can't have also. It takes in any form. Now, how do you explain this? This, of course, is my speculation. I am just trying to speculate. See, why a person is taking a rebirth, or why rebirth becomes necessary, is because of the vicious circle. And why so? Because he is not totally detached when he dies. Totally detached means his Atma has not become pure consciousness. So there is something left. Now that something will drag you into again another vitiation of birth, death, rebirth cycle. Depending upon the strength of that attachment, depending upon the strength of the drag to this mundane existence, where something you wanted to stay, then you may be born. So, depending upon the strength and vivacity, how long you have to spend time on earth is determined by this unknown equation of the strength of your attachment. You may be born for few minutes, like the punishment the Deus got from heaven, Devendra, like Bhishma. Bhishma's has other brothers. They were actually, Bhishma was a Deu. He was involved in a theft of thieving Kamadhanu, so he was to be born and he had to live a full life. But others were given moksha immediately after they were born. Ganga Devi, soon as they were born, they were throwing them into Ganga river. The story you should know. I am not going into that. So, fraction of seconds, maybe, or maybe a couple of hours. Now, the leftover attachment is gone, or the punishment is gone. In that case, it is punishment. But here, suppose your attachment was not so serious, then you may live for a few days, or maybe few weeks in some form, and then with your death, you become mamukta, completely liberated. There the consciousness is not playing, because you are already near pure consciousness, so you may not have the identity. But if you are born as human, that will call for a longer period through which one may refine, and if you are still not refined, then you will undergo the process, into which form is unpredictable. So this is how one should understand rebirth. It's not necessary that you must remember. It depends on the gravity of your attachment, and you become a mukta after that. So the point is, you all have to go back to the energy source from where you came, either directly or through a process of cleansing. Those who are lucky, they will not get vitiated by the birth, death, rebirth cycle. What one must aspire is to go back. Then we don't know what the situation. Pure consciousness we do not know, because we cannot imagine a situation without our personal identity. With all our desires, detachments, and all that emotional foolishness. Emotions are basically foolish given a perspective. Given a perspective, they are all meaningful, but temporary. This temporariness you cannot escape. It's true that everything is temporary. You cannot escape the temporariness. However you want, things are temporary. Your age goes up, so your life is also temporary. Yesterday you were young, running in the football field, playing with strength. Today you just can't run. So many things, so many narratives. So moksha is to get rid of all those things. Sans identity, sans consciousness, sans everything, whatever you understand. So why worry? Don't worry. What I will do after death. Don't bother. Whatever has to be, has to be. Like Shakespeare said, death, a necessary end, will come when it will come. After death, this is Shakespeare did not say, I am saying. After death, whatever is the case. Why do bother and waste your time? Bother yourselves, don't bother. Whatever is there, it is there. Whether it knowingly or unknowingly, it is there. They're inevitable, inescapable. So let's go. Let's relax. Spend time meaningfully during your existence. Meaningfully, in the sense, helpful to others. That meaning one should look for. That is a philanthropic position which a human being should have, not only to other human beings, to the entire cosmos. To the entire cosmos. So let's think. Let's feel free. Let's be happy. Happiness you should create from within. Don't go for conditional happiness. That this condition is fulfilled, then I'm happy. I get this, then I'm happy. This kind of conditional happiness one should not go for. Let's remain cool, calm, without bothering. Let things come. Let us take it as it comes. We'll meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Shri Ram.